Welcome to the Southern Weekend. This road trip, we're getting ready for college football season. We're visiting some of the best college towns in the South. We're tailgating in Oxford, Mississippi, and sailgating in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Come on,
Hey!
come aboard.
We're tackling a championship BLT in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
And here it is.
I don't know why I expected it to be smaller.
And tasting some of the best bread pudding we have ever had in Auburn. We'll visit a classic college hangout in Clemson, South Carolina, and kick our weekend up a notch at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia. So come join the adventure as we start the Southern Weekend. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Molly McKinney. College football is more than just a game here in the South. It's a tradition where we gather with friends and family, eat amazing food, and cheer on our favorite teams. So, on our adventures across the South, we always make a point to stop in college towns for the best things to eat and do. And our first stop on this road trip, Oxford, Mississippi. Southern weekends in the fall are made for football and tailgates. But Ole Miss fans take it up a notch with their food, fun, and fashion at the legendary 10 acres they call The Grove. This is like a whole new level of my definition of tailgating. Has it always been like this here?
It's evolved over the years. In like the 40s and 50s, they actually used to bring cars in here, and it's a 10-acre park in the center of campus. And then there was a really bad rainstorm in the early 90s, and they eliminated cars, and one guy brought a tent back, and it was born from there. And then everybody just decided that was a great idea. So it's evolved into what you see now.
This tent looks so good. I'm Molly.
Jane Foster, come on
Yeah, I would love to get a tour if you don't mind.
Sure. Let me show you what we have to eat. Right here we've got chicken and waffle sliders. We've got fruit dip, pigs in a blanket.
Do you do this for every game?
Yes.
This is like a house.
Here we have a little mimosa fountain where we just invite our guests to come in and have a mimosa. Yeah, why don't you have one? Fashion is a huge part of this. Our football schedules that are given out to us, it says wear red, wear navy. And for Labor Day weekend, this is wear white. And you go and find the perfect outfit and get decked out for the game. The girls wear dresses, the guys wear button-downs, ties, polos, khakis. Everybody is dressed to the nines here, and we love it.
The Ole Miss tailgate experience.
Not only during football season, but also baseball and basketball.
You come here, meet new people, it makes the game experience so much better.
We love our Ole Miss Rebels and the Grove.
What is the Walk of Champions?
The Walk of Champions started in the 1980s under Coach Billy Brewer. He would lead the team through the Grove to the stadium, and people started lining up to greet the players, give them high fives and all that. And now it's a staple here. Everybody loves it. That's just another one of our great traditions here at Ole Miss.
Hi, Johnny!
I'm a little embarrassed to ask this next question. What is Hottie Toddy?
Hottie Toddy you're going to hear about 2,000 times today. We've been doing it around here for decades, and it's become a greeting, it's become our full chant, and when 60,000 people are doing it in Vaught Hemingway Stadium, it sounds pretty cool.
Are you ready?
Hell yeah! Damn right! Hotty, toddy, gosh almighty! Flam, flam! Ole Miss fire!
Hottie Toddy!
The locals will tell you that if you're spending a Southern weekend in Oxford, you have to eat at City Grocery. So we stopped by to meet its award-winning chef, John Currence, and find out why.
You are an accomplished chef, you are a cookbook author, you could open restaurants anywhere in the world. Why Oxford?
I came to Oxford not really intending to stay here. The opportunity presented itself for me to come open my first place. But I really only planned to stay here for a few years and then move on, whether it was back to New Orleans or on to Chicago or go to Europe and cook. And I love it here. It's a wonderful place. The people of Oxford have taken me in as one of their own, and it's been a wonderful ride for 24 years or so.
So one dish you'd recommend here?
Well, It's the one thing that I feel like I can't make go away. And I say that sort of as a joke. You know, everybody comes to the grocery to eat shrimp and grits, and it's a dish that, you know, I'm extraordinarily proud of. When we got ready to open the grocery, you know, that was the first thing that I wrote on the menu. It's like, we're going to serve shrimp and grits, and so it was the one thing that, like, even though we changed our menu every 6 or 8 weeks, you know, we tried to take it off one time, and there was a riot.
Just revolt.
Yeah, no, there's like a write-in campaign about bringing back shrimp and grits.
What a compliment,
So,
though.
yeah, we kept a running tally on a 4x4 post in the middle of the kitchen one year for how many of them that we cooked, you know, in a year. And so we would, like, tally off every one that we cooked every night for a year.
Do you remember what that number was?
Yeah, it was like 37,000. It was insane.
Tell me about the city grocery in particular. I mean, this building itself is stunning. What is it like operating out of a building like this?
You mean operating out of a building that's like constantly falling down around you, or that this is the place that you get to come to work every day? The square was burned during the Civil War and then rebuilt sort of in that pre-Civil War image immediately after. And oddly, the buildings were not particularly beautiful, and they were flat-fronted, and they didn't have a whole lot of character. We plot this balcony on the front, and all of a sudden it changes the character of this building. And you know, 90% of the balconies around the square have been put on in the last 20 years. We've had to do a tremendous amount of work to sort of get it to where it is, but it is a beautiful place to walk into every day.
Still to come, what's college football without Alabama?
You had been born 2 hours south. Would you have been an Auburn fan?
We're heading to Tuscaloosa to tackle a championship-sized BLT in the shadow of the Crimson Tide Stadium. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. If you're talking college football, you have to mention Alabama. They're the defending national champions with one of the most passionate fan bases in the South. So we headed to Tuscaloosa to visit a restaurant where Alabama football and love for the team loom large.
Tell me about the history of the restaurant.
We opened up on an Alabama home football game. A terrible mistake. Opened up a couple of weeks prior to, 102,000 people, and then you work out the little kinks, and then everything works out. But we learned a lot.
20 years later.
20 years later, across the street from the greatest stadium in America.
You're a little biased.
I'm a lot biased. I accept that. That's not a problem for me.
What is a Rammer Jammer?
The Rammer Jammer was a student publication. It started in 1924. It lasted until the 1970s when the Greek organizations took it over, and it folded a few years after that. I thought, what better name would that be? Because the band, the students will be calling out my name. Rammer Jammer, Yellowhammer, give 'em hell, Alabama, you know, the cheer. So it's worked out really well as far as the name is concerned.
We read somewhere that someone can come and have lunch here and understand the full history of Alabama football just from looking on the walls. Where does all the memorabilia come from?
It goes back to the 1800s to present. We're about to run out of room, but we try to make.
You're gonna have to expand.
I know, and there's nowhere for us to go. But we try to include as many of the different years, players as we possibly can. A lot of it's been donated, a lot of it's been given, so it's been a lot of fun putting this thing together.
When you walk in the door, it's apparent that Alabama football is going to affect your experience, but what about the menu items? Does Alabama football get reiterated into some of the...
Absolutely it does. You know, we have our staple items, and then we have our Alabama theme items. We've got a burger that's got 16 ounces of meat on it. Why 16? 16 national championships. It's huge. Coach Bryant says, I ain't never been nothing but a winner. So I have an ain't nothing but a winner Polish sausage. We've got a BLT. We call it our national championship BLT. It's got 16 strips of bacon. Why 16? 16 national championships. Comes with 3 slices of Texas toast, double lettuce, double tomato, and an onion ring for the national championship ring. And here it is.
I don't know why I expected it to be smaller.
It's huge. You notice there's no silverware, but a lot of napkins.
I probably should try. Has anyone done this in one bite?
Good luck, Molly.
This is all I accomplished. I got one piece of one
piece of bacon, and you got a little bit of lettuce, and the tomatoes are falling out, but you're doing great. You're doing as good as any first time I've ever seen. But I am really proud of you. You did really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what do you think makes an Alabama fan? I mean, if you hadn't grown up loving this football team, if you had been born 2 hours south, would you have been an Auburn fan? No! On the table.
I would not have been an Auburn fan if I was born in Auburn.
Why?
It's not an option. There's no comparison. In my opinion, and it's just my opinion, winning. Alabama football. It's so much tradition here at the University of Alabama. Hundreds of thousands of fans walk by here. And then when they come through here, the passion just seems to shine through when they walk around. And it makes me feel good to see the fans come in here and enjoy the memorabilia, as long as they're buying a hamburger. We try to be a good ambassador for the University of Alabama and our city, the Tuscaloosa, and I think that's worked out really good for us.
Still to come, we couldn't visit Alabama without visiting their arch rival as well. We'll head to Auburn and taste one of the best desserts we've ever had. If you want to see more from any of our road trips, check out thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of our adventures across the South, as well as great tips and recipes. All that and more, anytime you want it, at thesouthernweekend.com. No question about it. You can find intense football matchups and dedicated fans on game days at Clemson University's Death Valley. This weekend, though, we're spending our time exploring what Clemson and the surrounding area has to offer beyond pigskins and tiger paws. Well, I can't think of a better place to start my day in Clemson than coming here and seeing really what South Carolina has to offer.
Yeah, and that's the point of this place, really. And you have to remember, Clemson University is a land-grant college. It was started for all the citizens of South Carolina. That's very important. We are a garden for everybody here, not just the ones that root for the Tigers.
It's so peaceful here.
Yeah, it's pretty different than...
This is still campus?
We're still on campus, but it's also the South Carolina Botanical Garden. So this is the place, really, if you have a little time before a game or a little time after a game, that you can actually come to a place and really get a good sense of what South Carolina is. Here on the Natural Heritage Garden Trail, where we're at right now, is the best place really to do that, because it's really what sets us apart from all of the other gardens around the country. You can take this walk that really brings you through the habitats of South Carolina, from the mountains all the way down to the coast, and you're going to walk past over 2,000 species of plants. You're going to walk through the communities themselves, through the natural communities you see, and so people don't just get a flavor of what plants grow in South Carolina, but they get a flavor of really understanding the dynamics of community and the connection to people, people's choices, and the environment. But I will definitely want to show you our nature-based sculpture right up here. So this is one of our nature-based sculptures. I mean, yeah, it's cool. This sculpture is called the Crucible. It combines pretty much the elements of Earth, right? So you've got this beautiful portico up here that you see right out, and the light comes in, and it shines down right on top of this spring, which is a running spring, and then of course earth and air. So it's really, all the elements that really form the crucible of life.
I might have walked right by it. It looks like it just fits right into the natural landscape.
Part of what this Natural Heritage Garden Trail is all about is really to show us also that native things and local things have always been useful things too. So, like the one that I just picked here.
I can smell that from here.
Yeah, isn't that
is
amazing? It's a mountain mint, and it's one of about 10 species that we have growing here, and it's super minty. It's like a mint on steroids, like an Altoid, living Altoid.
Is this edible?
It is absolutely edible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All these things, we're not the first people to realize that, they were great. They've been used by Native Americans and everybody for a long time. And not just things that are obvious like the mints, but this one that looks almost like an iris that you break the stem on this and smell. It's very different.
It's very pleasant.
Yeah, that's called sweet flag. It actually has a sweet taste to it. And it was thought maybe that this plant could actually be useful in stopping nicotine cravings. And there's thousands of things like that here. Everything has a story, every plant has a story, and that's why we exist, is really to tell that story and connect people. It's where nature and culture meets.
How old is the company?
The gas station itself opened in 1933.
In this building?
This
it used to be a
building was
gas
built
station.
That's what the SO is. Eastern State Standard Oil.
Eastern State Standard Oil. And you've been here for a long time. Generations have come through these doors.
Oh yeah. It's definitely a family tradition. Like, people would bring their kids. So many people would come in and say, I graduated from here 30 years ago, and now my son's coming to Clemson. I was a regular here, and they just have great stories. Oh wow.
You're gonna help me eat this? No, this is perfect.
Oh my goodness.
I've heard so much about this food. I'm so excited to try it.
It's just homegrown, good Southern. Eat meat and
Let's
drink.
put that to the test. What do you say? So what do we have here?
Our country fried chicken.
This is delicious. It tastes like a grandma made it.
Obviously, if it's covered in white gravy, it's going to be delicious. So
And fried.
Oh yes.
This is delicious. Being this close to the university, you almost feel such a sense of connection to this community and the school.
Clemson Athletics and Clemson University. It's what has made us what we are, along with our locals. The bar itself is old Clemson Stadium seating, like the wood planks. Like you can see the numbers.
Repurposed the wood from the old
And those
stadium,
have been-
and that's your bar?
That's our
It gives me
that's-
goosebumps.
And then we also have our SO Bloody Marys, who we're very.
This is a Bloody Mary?
Yes.
What's in your all's Bloody Mary? Can you tell? Can you tell me?
Well, I guess we can tell y'all since y'all are here. But it has cucumber vodka, Dixie pepper vodka, Zing Zang, and just a little splash of this and that. So.
There's the this and that.
Yeah,
that I
no,
can't
there's
give
a
it
few
all.
things.
Cheers
To the SO.
to the SO.
I didn't wait on you. Yes, ma'am.
That does not taste like cold Maryland crab soup. That's usually why I don't like Bloody Marys. This one I could get used to.
It's the best way to start off a game day. That's especially if you spent the prior night here. We try to get you through the game day at least, but most people stop by here first. Since we are located so close to the stadium, they'll stop in, get a beer, get maybe a little snack, and then head on up to the stadium and watch some Clemson football in Death Valley.
And they've been doing it for years.
Years and years. Up in Clemson, we have a saying. It's like there's something in these hills, and honestly,
It truly is.
it really is. It's definitely one of those things where you can't come to Clemson without coming to SO.
When our Southern Weekend college football road trip continues, we're heading for Louisiana to visit one of the sport's most majestic mascots, a tiger who is fighting a battle of his own. The next stop on our tour of college football towns, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's the home of the LSU Tigers and one of the most beloved mascots in all of college football, Mike the Tiger.
How long has the Tiger mascot been a part of LSU's history?
We got our first Tiger in 1936, so quite a long time. That was Mike 1.
Tell me about this Mike the Tiger.
It's a lot of fun working with Mike the Tiger. We've had Mike 6 for 8 years. He's 10 years old. This Tiger is really amazing. Very affectionate and inquisitive and active. We were looking for several distinctive characteristics when we selected this Tiger, and one of them was an animal that was very confident and interactive. We wanted an animal that was going to be up front where the people are, not hiding in the back of the enclosure. He's a great tiger.
Why does LSU have the tiger versus any other animal?
The history of the tiger mascot really goes back to and originates in the Civil War. There was a group of Louisianians that fought in the Confederate Army that called themselves the Tiger Rifles. It was to honor them, and so that's where the name came from. There are about 34 universities in the United States that have animal mascots. Most of those are dogs and horses. He is the only tiger on a university campus. It's very uncommon to find a carnivore, a large carnivore, right, on a university campus. But having him here so that the LSU community can enjoy him, I think is very important.
He clearly enjoys the water. What are the things that you all do to make sure he's stimulated, maybe enrichment activities?
Well, it's an excellent habitat. There's always challenges with having a 440-pound apex predator on a university campus. The enclosure is a very nice enclosure. It's got a lot of features that are really important for him. The water is probably the most important. Tigers and jaguars are never found in the wild away from water. They're excellent swimmers, so the water is a very important part of their habitat. He does walk a lot. That's normal for tigers. They normally walk about 40 miles a day. So we needed to have an enclosure that was large enough so that he could walk around a lot. We do hang, you can see there's a toy hanging over here. It's a fire hose that's been tied into a knot hanging from a garage door spring that's shielded.
It's pretty creative
he can play
contraption.
with. He tackles it and pulls on it. It's like a prey item. So it's really an excellent enclosure for him and helps him to stay healthy.
But shortly after our visit to Baton Rouge, Mike the Tiger's health took a sudden turn for the worse.
The LSU community is stunned by the announcement that Mike the Tiger has been diagnosed with cancer.
Without treatment, Mike the Tiger was expected to only live a month or two.
So Mike was diagnosed with spindle cell sarcoma. It's a cancer that originates in the bone. And so it actually came right here on his face, on the right side of his face. Mike is doing really well. He had his treatment on June 1st at Mary Bird Perkins, Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Center, and the swelling in his face has gone down. His face is symmetrical again. He does have a radiation burn from the treatment, which we did expect. It's kind of like a sunburn, so while it did irritate him a little bit and he did rub some hair off his face, he's not in any pain.
Mike the Tiger's medical team hope the treatment will extend his life another year or two. And for now, Mike's demeanor seems unchanged.
I mean, I tell people, this sounds a little silly, but he doesn't know that he has cancer. He still loves all of his visitors. He's still tearing up bushes. His weight, his attitude, everything is still the same.
To some people, he's a symbol of a great university. To other people, he's an animal that has sort of united their family around LSU for years. So he is a symbol of the university, but for many people, he's more than that. He's really a member of the LSU family.
If you'd like more information on how Mike the Tiger's doing, you can follow him on social media. He's got his own Facebook page. Still to come, our road trip to some of the best college football towns in the South continues. We'll roll into Atlanta to visit the College Football Hall of Fame. That and more when the Southern Weekend continues. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. I'm Molly McKinney. Thank you so much for joining us on our road trip across the South. We're celebrating the start of college football season by visiting some of the best college towns in America. And our next stop, Atlanta, Georgia, home of Georgia Tech's Yellow Jackets, and a museum that's just around the corner where every day is game day. Our friend Rachel Lee swung by for a visit.
Hi, I'm Rachel Lee for the Southern Weekend in Atlanta. I bet you can't guess where I am. It's a place where every day is game day. I'm at the College Football Hall of Fame. Hi! So how does this work?
So you flash your badge right here in front of the sensor.
Okay.
So you select the state first.
Okay.
Then you pick your school from the state.
Well, I live in Florida.
Okay.
University of Miami.
There you go. So you got the Miami helmet. It's up there towards the top.
Oh, I see it light up.
Flashing red.
There it is. That's so cool.
Hi, Rachel.
Are you John?
I am. Welcome to the College Football Hall of Fame.
Again, this place is amazing. It's
It's pretty awesome, isn't it? It really is a different place than you might expect out of a museum.
Can you show me around?
Let's go do it. Now your tag knows you're a Miami fan, and you get to go do cool stuff with the wall over here.
Hey, there's
There
me.
it is, right there.
Oh, you told me welcome.
So in all our galleries, in addition to the media, we have some great hardware, some iconic college football memorabilia like the Heisman Trophy, major bowl trophies, and then of course the new national championship trophy. The only replica is right here in our building.
I hear there's something about like karaoke or something.
Yeah, we do have some non-traditional interactives here too, like fight song karaoke,
Oh.
digital face painting, the ESPN Game Day desk. So if you'd like to
my
try
goodness.
those
Yeah,
out,
yes,
right this way.
Fight song karaoke.
Yeah, pick your fight song there.
Oh boy.
All right.
I've been waiting my
Just
whole
like
life
karaoke,
for this.
go for it.
I'm nervous. Okay. Miami. Oh, wait, instrumental. Miami. 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 Hurricanes. Fight. Can you tell I'm such a Miami fan? Oh, and I got an applause. You sound like you're saying, oh my God. I didn't know.
Totally.
I didn't know how it really went, so I did, oh my darling.
So swing it back this way, and we can look at some of these players. And then, of course, really everybody's favorite interactive, though, is the College Game Day desk, which you're going to have to go try.
Oh, will you be my co-host?
Absolutely, let's go.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Chris. I'm John. This is Rachel. This is a huge game at Sun Life Stadium today, the Miami Hurricanes versus the Florida State Seminoles.
I'm so confused.
ready?
Which way do I look? Oh, it's my turn. Well, Desmond, it's a no-brainer. I'm picking Hurricanes all the way.
You got a hurricane.
And now I have a hurricane, and I am a duck.
You picked the winner.
Winner, winner.
All right, so here we are, the indoor football field. 45-yard long field, full-size field goal post for you to kick on. You get to catch a pass over here and practice your throwing skills over this way. This is fun for big kids and little kids. So we have May and Jack here to help us out.
Are you going to help? Okay. Touchdown. We're already a team. Okay, so I guess I'm not meant to be a football player. I failed at the kicking, the passing, everything.
No trip to Atlanta is complete without a visit to our next location, a drive-in which has been serving Georgia Tech students since 1928.
The varsity has a really deeply entrenched history in Atlanta. It started in 1928 by Frank Gordy, who was actually a college dropout from Georgia Tech. He had been traveling over the country with his brother, and he saw some really interesting ways people were serving food fast. So he said, I can start a restaurant, I can do this. Atlanta needs something fast and good and cheap. So he bought this little building right across the street from Georgia Tech, and it was basically just a little hot dog stand. It grew into the 50s and it became the largest drive-in in the world. The parking lot still today can accommodate 600 cars, and inside we can seat 800 people. On really busy days, we've been known to serve over 30,000 people in one day. 2 miles of hot dogs, a ton of onions, a ton of potatoes, 5,000 fried pies, and 300 gallons of chili in a single day. All made from scratch right here in-house. We're famous for our lingo. It's one of the most interesting aspects, in my opinion, of the place. Varsity lingo started probably in the 30s or 40s when we were super busy, and cashiers and car hops kind of made lingo into their own shorthand to speed service, and we still use it here today. So if you were gonna order like a true varsity fan, I guess you could say, you were gonna get 2 hot dogs all the way with rings and an FO. So that means 2 chili dogs with mustard, onions, onion rings, and a frosted orange milkshake. We don't have a lot of really, really old buildings. Everything in Atlanta changes, and this place has really stayed the same. The same address, the same food, the same menu, the same recipes, the same family. It's just like an unchanging piece of history.
Still to come, we're heading from Atlanta to Auburn, Alabama for a delicious taste of the South.
The texture is a little more firm, a little more cake-like, drizzled with our in-house made bourbon caramel sauce.
Can I just eat right off this plate?
Yeah, go for it.
And later, we're tailgating at Tennessee in a very unusual way, by boat. That and more when the Southern Weekend continues. Saturdays in the South are all about college football, but that still leaves plenty of time on a Southern weekend to explore the cities and towns where the games are played. One of our favorite college spots is in Auburn, Alabama, a place where football is everywhere and where you can find some of the best food you will ever eat.
Our saying is bacon and bourbon. The idea behind the food was that it was simple, a certain focus on comfort food, not necessarily Southern, but comforting and approachable, made from scratch, but sourced locally whenever possible. That's kind of the philosophy behind it.
For a restaurant that's so known in the Auburn community, I was expecting to see Auburn memorabilia all over the walls in here when we walked in, but the aesthetic is very different than that, and it's beautiful.
It started with doing the live edge wood live edge bar, which means it's kind of got the real contours of the tree. So
Love that.
all of these tables are southern or eastern cedar, and it's all lumber that's local. So Auburn may not be on the walls, but it's part of the tables and part of the bar, and definitely part of what this restaurant is about.
And I hear the food's good too.
I hope so. Good food, good beer, good whiskey,
We
but
should talk
definitely
about
good
the
food.
food.
Yeah, absolutely.
This looks delicious.
This is Christian, and you're a Bama fan, right?
Definitely not.
Just kidding.
No, I grew up here in Auburn, so orange
Would
and
you
blue
have been a Bama
forever.
fan if you had grown up in Bama?
No.
Why?
It wasn't meant to be.
Well, tell me about the food. How do you get inspired from the menu here?
Yeah, I mean, the seasons really inspire me the most. When you're buying something that's in season, it's better, it's fresher, it's coming from our backyard.
So what do we have in front of us?
Yeah, let's introduce that.
This is super popular. Nice big bucket of pork rinds that are fried fresh here. They come out crackling, still hot. They're dusting a really nice, little bit of a spice.
A little kick.
A little kick. Yeah, and those are very, very popular. Can't be
This
shy
is
with
so
these. Can't be
awkward
shy
to
with
eat.
these. You just gotta just go for it. Yep. Yep.
That's perfect. What is that spice? Can you tell me? No.
It's a blend, it's a
It's
house blend.
proprietary? Uh-huh.
Cayenne and some other things.
Right,
some got a little
some other
cayenne.
things.
This is our house cured bacon. It's dry cured and unsmoked, which is very unique. Most people either do a wet cure and smoke it. This is not just unique to Auburn, but unique to the culinary world.
And start with the bacon.
Yeah,
Watch
but
the
I mean,
here.
you know.
Cheers. Whoa, it's so good.
Pretty unique. You know,
It's so nice to not have the grease associated with it.
You get much more flavor of the pork
It's
as opposed to a normal bacon where it's, you know, that wet cure and then the smoke, which is overpowering. That's all the flavor you get.
so this is our bacon braised pork with pickled vegetables, field peas, and it's topped with our Cheney briar, the wild asparagus that we foraged earlier today.
Presentation is perfect. That's delicious. This isn't exactly what I would describe as comfort food. It's a little more high class than the comfort food that comes to mind, but it still satisfies that feeling.
Comforting in the sense that there's probably not going to be too many ingredients on the menu that you may not recognize. It's going to be approachable and
Identify kind of an upscale comfort food.
If you knew that a job candidate was an Alabama fan, would it affect your decision to hire them?
Absolutely. I would welcome them with open arms, and I would abuse them on a daily basis. No, we actually have a couple Alabama fans back there that work with us. There's minimal bantering going on because we are so busy.
Right.
You know?
I don't have time for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And last but not least,
Vanilla bread pudding is made in-house. It's a little different than your typical bread pudding in that it's not as quite as custardy. The texture is a little more firm, a little more cake-like, drizzled with our in-house made bourbon caramel sauce.
can I just eat right off this plate?
Yeah, go for it.
Are you guys
Absolutely.
gonna help me?
Yeah, for sure. That's right.
Man, that is the perfect blend of salty and sweet.
Go ahead, grab a cookie, take a bite.
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
This is gonna be it for me. Yeah, I'm not giving you any of this. So.
It's all you. It's all you.
Up next, we've been tailgating. Now, let's go sailgating.
Come on,
Hey!
come aboard.
We're heading to Knoxville, Tennessee to explore one of the most unique traditions in all of college football. If you want to see more from any of our road trips, check out thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of our adventures across the South, as well as great tips and recipes. All that and more, anytime you want it, at thesouthernweekend.com. I've heard the University of Tennessee's tailgating scene is pretty special, so I came prepared with my beer and my food for the day. But to be honest, I thought we'd be meeting in like a parking lot or a field, so if this is really my ride, I could get used to this.
Come on,
Hey!
come aboard. This is where the party begins, you know.
Oh, I like the sound of that. I brought food for us, so that's a
You are
good
the
peace
best.
offering to
Yes.
start.
I can't help you with getting W done, mister.
This is not what I think of when I think of football tailgating. This is like the highest caliber of tailgating I can imagine.
It's like one of the only navies for football games when you come down to UT.
So that's where the Vol Navy
Yeah, that's where the Vol Navy
nickname
came.
comes from. It's this sailgating. And how long have you all been doing this for?
About 21 years.
21 years?
Yep.
Do you remember the first time you
Yes, I
did
do.
this? What were you thinking?
I came with somebody else, and I was thinking, going to a football game by boat?
You're thinking what I'm thinking right now.
Exactly.
I can relate. I'd heard that this was started in the 60s by, was it George Mooney? Is that
George
his
Mooney,
name?
yep.
And he got so frustrated with his
All the
commute
traffic.
and all the traffic that he ended up just taking to the water. What body of water are we on?
We're on the Tennessee River.
And people come from all over.
They do. They come
on-
up from Chattanooga, they come up from Huntsville, Alabama, they come from all over.
On
Just-
vessel.
Yep, by vessel.
Walk me through the typical game day.
For a night game. You take off probably around 9 in the morning to come down, and then you're here hours in advance to get docked up. I've known you had up to 500 boats at different times. And then there's people that come down here for the full season with their houseboats and leave them here the whole time. And don't bring them back until the season's over.
Is that the stadium?
Yeah, that's Neyland Stadium.
Gosh, that has to be the best view of it in town. It
It
right
is.
here from the water. I think it would be hard to pull me away from this view to even go into the stadium. If you
Well,
could
there-
just sit and watch it on TV
There are a
and
number
just
of people
enjoy
that
this
just
breeze.
put the game on TV, and what's
Yeah.
fun about it is when they score a touchdown or extra point, they shoot the fireworks from off right over there. And it's just going over your head.
So you will have the
So-
best season now.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I wonder if Tennessee fans are more peaceful in general because, especially the ones that do the
Peaceful?
sailgating. They're like, well, it's a good game. What does it mean to you all to be a Tennessee fan?
Well, when you move to Knoxville, either you become a Tennessee fan or you move out of Knoxville, because you got to be a Tennessee fan here.
But people are very friendly down here. They're all about letting you see their boats. I mean, you can walk on and they'll say, "You want to see my boat?" Sure.
They've got food, drink.
Seems like a good party atmosphere.
It is. Yep. And that's what it is, a big party atmosphere.
It seems like sailgating is kind of the epitome of all the things that Knoxville is known for. The water, being outdoors, football, you know, nice people, camaraderie.
Well, it's a major tradition.
Yeah.
Just because nobody else can do this at any other college. It brings the family together. I mean, all the fans, and again, the water, and then all the tailgating on land. You got people coming down from there to tailgate on your boat sometimes. And then you got the football game. That's the pinnacle. So it really is a great atmosphere.
The room for me. Tyler, you're making me look
If
bad.
you were
but
wearing
I-
a bead, I would let you sit up in here.
Maybe time. Let's do
Tyler,
it.
that's it. Make her wear the bead. Yes! Now it's official. Now I have to be a ball fan.
Do you think sailgating will ever stop being a tradition here at UT?
Oh, no, I don't. No way.
No matter how high the gas goes, no matter how expensive anything is, I think
They're always going to come down.
it'll always be here.
Yeah, I will stop sailgating when I die.
Who should keep him around?
Remember, all roads lead to Rome, but all waterways lead to Neyland Stadium.
Still to come, we're staying in Knoxville to get some more food.
We get college people that, went to school here and they come back just because you can't get a steamed sandwich anywhere else, really. It's a Knoxville thing.
Get ready for a good time at Gus's. Tennessee Volunteers fans have been doing football right for a long time, but we found a place that's been feeding fans and preserving the team's history for more than 30 years.
All right, here you guys go. 3 cheeseburgers, 4 onion rings. Thank you guys.
We're in here early in the morning so we can actually hear what each other is saying because, as I understand, it's a little different on game day in here.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. The place is packed, the lawn's out around the building.
Out around the building.
Yeah, we've got a pretty dedicated customer base.
This is kind of like an unofficial museum for fans, but you also serve really delicious food. What are people coming more for, the aesthetic of the place or the food?
A little bit of both. I think it's tradition.
How long has Gus's been around?
1981 was when it started.
Was it started by Gus?
Yeah, Gus and his wife Rose. I started delivering here in 1993 just as a job, kind of just went from there.
Describe UT fans to me.
Dedicated. They're exuberant. They want to see us win again. That's a big thing. They want to see us beat Florida. They want to see us beat Alabama again. I don't know if you ever heard football is life in the South or whatever. There's just an exuberance for it. Like people that didn't go to UT, you know, but if you live in Tennessee, you love the Vols.
You've had a lot of famous people come through these doors. Who are some of the highlights that you can think of?
Garth Brooks came last summer, and he loved the place. Reggie White, Peyton Manning. Like I used to make Peyton food when he was in college.
What was Peyton like back then?
Peyton was nice, really down to earth. He still comes in. He actually just sent us a new picture. It's over on the wall now.
Tell me about, I almost want to call them artifacts, because this feels like a museum to me, but where did everything on the walls come from?
A lot of the stuff people brought in when Gus was starting out, a lot of the athletes liked the place because we have big burgers, and so they would come in all the time. Gus would ask him to bring a picture in, and so it just became a tradition. And then some of the stuff is just stuff Gus liked, like the Clint Eastwood posters. Clint Eastwood's never been in here, but somebody Gus liked, so he put it up there.
So the recipes have stayed the same this whole time?
Everything's exactly the same. I mean, we've added a couple of things here and there, but for the most part, it's exactly the same as it was in 1981. I think that's what brings people back a lot of times is that you know it's going to be the same thing. Like we get college people that, you know, went to school here and they come back just because you can't get a steamed sandwich anywhere else. Really, it's a Knoxville thing.
I don't think I know what steamed sandwiches are.
Right, because you're not from here. You take meat and cheese, like for instance, roast beef smoked cheddar is really popular. We have a bunch of different cheeses, a bunch of different meats. We put it in the steamer and then it melts the cheese and heats it up. It sounds gross to people who've never had it before, but it's actually really good.
Well, I don't think I can come here and not try a steamed sandwich.
Of course. Just figure out which steamed sandwich you'd like and I can make it happen.
I can do that part. Yes.
There's your Reuben.
Oh, this smells so good. So this is a steamed sandwich.
That is a steamed sandwich.
That texture is perfect.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it.
Holy cow.
See, now you have to come back to Knoxville and get a steamed sandwich all the time.
That will not be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's sober. I can't even imagine having this after a couple of drinks.
Yes.
That wraps up this college-themed edition of the Southern Weekend. I'm Molly McKinney. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Southern Weekend.